All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another discussion of the Wheel of Time adaptation that Amazon is putting together here. This is season 2, episode 5, called Damane, and I know that not because we just barely looked up the title, and yes, I already had that prepared well ahead of time. So here we go. All right, AP, I think I should start though with perhaps an acknowledgement. I feel like now I'm not really necessarily in tune with what's all the buzz on social media and so on and so forth, but I have noticed that a lot of people are kind of coming around to this show now. With episode 5 seems to be generating a lot of buzz, a lot of compliments. Even people who've been critical of the show up till now are saying, actually, this might be good. So I have to say, you actually kind of called this earlier than anyone I know. You were giving the show some credit where apparently credit might be due. So I have to say, maybe I'm a little bit even. I would say maybe I would admit that I'm a little jealous, but that you probably would say that jealousy is a look that doesn't suit me. Probably, right?
Yes, because that's the phrase that definitely trips off my tongue.
Just like Elaine's. Yeah.
But like all of these things, we enjoy what we enjoy. We like what we like. We dislike what we dislike. Like, no one can ever tell you you're wrong for liking or disliking something because
True.
in matters of taste and preference, the customer is always right. You are always the best judge of what you like and don't like. But I think a lot of people, when we prejudge or we go looking for a very specific thing or we go in with a certain mindset,
Right.
we find those things that reinforce that. And we all do it. Like this
Human
is
nature.
not unique to
Yeah.
any one particular field. We all
Yeah.
do it. If you go looking for examples of sexism in something, and that's how you do your reading, quite often you will find things that fit that paradigm. You will find the evidence to support your opinion.
Right.
And this is something that when we study literature, we talk about all the time. It's like, is it arising from the text or is this something that we are imposing onto the text? And we move between these two things because we want to test out theories, we want to test out positions, but also we're trying to understand what the text is doing. So you move backwards and forwards between these different positions and try to be aware when you're doing it. That's
Right.
all that we ever do. Um, and I think this season, the showrunners, the writers, the actors, everyone involved in this production, it's almost like they have leveled up, to use computer game parlance.
Yeah.
This, I think, shows what happens when you don't have to produce something during the chaos of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that people should like it? You go, no, like it's not to do with that. Like and dislike is always entirely personal. But if it's about the care and attention that people are taking, it's clear that that has significantly improved in terms of what we can see. If it's about cohesiveness of the writing, that has improved in what we can see. If it's about the acting, a lot of the acting, we have both noted that we're really impressed by what they are articulating on screen, what they're presenting to us. Some of the younger actors have really grown into their roles.
Yeah.
The same thing that we see with so many TV shows across time. The first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation is not exactly the best season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, but people grew into their roles. The writers grew into writing for those roles because there was more familiarity with them. So I think there's a lot that has vastly improved in this. And I think now that people are watching it and they're seeing that, even though we can start with the position of, well, I'm going to watch this because I don't want to like it, it gets harder and harder to dislike when they are actually doing things that we want them to do or we want to see. And that can make us rethink our position. So I'm really pleased that the show seems to be gathering more momentum, more fans, more positive responses. Because ultimately, when it comes to pop culture, that's what we want. We want nice things that inspire people and make people happy.
Yep. Agreed. Although I think we all know that the original Star Trek is the real Star Trek. So Just saying.
What about the cartoon?
What cartoon?
You call yourself a Star Trek fan and you don't know about the cartoon?
I mean, all I know is the real Star Trek, the original one. Anyway, let's get into some of the threads here. I'd like to begin with the Perrin thread, for lack of a better word. It's the Perrin Hopper Aviendha thread, because, okay, my hat's off, because we've talked before in some of our previous discussions about the episodes, how I think necessarily, but also skillfully, they have combined characters, right? Elias being a previous example.
Yeah.
Here we see that Perrin finds not Gaul in a cage in a village. I think it's a different village too, but whatever the case, they're combining stuff in order to streamline the narrative. And so it's Aviendha in the cage, and we get Aviendha. And obviously, I think looking ahead, perhaps maybe they're trying to develop this very important character earlier on. And I think that's probably, given their constraints, a very smart choice. I thought, okay, this works. This really works. What did you think of the choice to have Aviendha be the Aiel in the cage that Perrin encounters?
Right. I'm going to have to confess that Robert Jordan has once again proven me wrong.
Oh my.
And in the past, I have said the whole construction of the Aiel as these ginger-haired, basically Irish people living in the desert, that would never work. And I am firmly convinced, I haven't checked, but I am firmly convinced that the actor playing Aviendha is Irish, because her lines, when she was at for the most part, they're kind of in that nondescript accent, but there are definitely intonations that are brogue. So Republic of Ireland, somewhere probably quite south.
Okay.
And I went, yeah, but I firmly believe that she's an Aiel. So yes, there can be red-headed Irish people living in the desert. Robert Jordan has proven me wrong. I admit
it. Just like with the Texas accent for the
just like the Texas accent.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I especially loved about her portrayal of Aviendha, while Aviendha in the books was cool, I never thought that she was funny or particularly likable or particularly engaging. She always came across, whatever way I read it, she came across as quite stilted and aloof. This actor gives her such wonderful personality. Like, she is immediately this funny, quirky murder hobo.
I was not expecting those words, but yes. Okay.
So the whole replacing Gaul, you're like, okay, but what part did Gaul really play in this? You go, Gaul's
introducing the Aiel culture to the reader, really, right? And she can do that.
So she fulfills a lot of that. But in terms of the plot functions that Gaul fulfilled here, she can do. And then later on, they can introduce the character of Gaul for Gaul's specific things and the bonding that Perrin has with him. Because that's a very powerful friendship in the books. It's an important
It is. Yeah.
And it would be nice to see that. But there are other ways of doing it. And this is one way of, you can see, making that change, introducing the Aiel culture, introducing a lot of the terminology. So wetlander and talking about the threefold land. And
not to mention toe.
Toe, obviously very important to me. And all of these get dropped in. And what we've seen them do much more, I think, competently this season is introduce concepts, introduce them again so that people are aware of them. And then 1 episode, 2 episodes, 3 episodes later, an explanation of the concept. So we're getting the concepts dropped in. And then we know that, okay, we don't have the full framework of it all yet. We don't have the full explanation yet. But I am now more and more confident that we will get the explanations, the context, a lot more of the depth around these concepts at a later date. Because was it Tel and Riyadh?
Tel Aron Riyadh, I think.
I'm close. The Dream World.
Yeah, the Dream World.
But again, we saw
We
it in
finally
season,
get it named in this episode, I think, was the first where it was actually named.
and that was we saw little glimpses of it in the first season. We've seen
Yep.
more of in this season, and
Yep.
then getting the deeper explanation. So it's they're introducing the things, letting the viewer sit with them for a while, and
Hmm.
then it's now we're going to explain it because this episode had a lot of things being dropped in directly from the books,
Yep.
concepts from the books, thrown in, and the foundations are all there to support it, and then explore it later on. So
Yep.
I thought the switch with Avienda is great. It's introducing a really important character earlier, and the actor was just brilliant.
Oh, she was brilliant. Not to mention kick ass. I mean, that was a great scene. I love the choreography of the whole thing. Also, I appreciated the nuance we get, and this exists in the books as well, but the nuance among the White Cloaks with the introduction of Dane Bornhalt, who's shows a bit of softness, a little mercy by giving Avienda, in this case, instead of Gaul, a bit of water while she's caged. And then, of course, our favorite our favorite questioner shows up as well to give us the contrast within the White Cloak organization. So, did you what did you think of that aspect of the Perrin thread?
And but again, and this is something we've talked about before. Each of these characters, instead of feeling like a plot function, is
Mm-hmm.
actually being built out more three-dimensionally, given more depth, given more complexity.
Mm.
Dane Bernhold, he's introduced, and we like him. He's likable.
Yeah.
He's charismatic.
And he's not wearing all white at first. So we think he's a normal dude, right? You get the little sneak peek of the white under there, and then you realize, oh, he's a White Cloak. Holy cow. He seems so normal, right?
Um, and we see that real contrast between him and what was the Inquisitor, the questioner's name? I've forgotten.
It's nice to see. Now you called me out because I called him the questioner because I couldn't remember his name.
But again, like, he is that
Child
frightening
something. Child, I don't know.
but he is that frightening driven, like absolutely convinced he's right. And
Yeah.
like one of the big things that we've been seeing, and it's especially hammered home here, is that people might be on the same side, but they have different reasons for being on that side or part of that team.
Yeah.
And those reasons might be mutually exclusive. They might be contradictory. They might be allies almost in name only. And they all have different motivations. And seeing that complexity brought to life is actually great because it's so easy to go, oh yeah, because they're all just fascists.
Right.
But even the fascists think that they're right for a reason.
Right.
And just understanding it doesn't mean that you agree with it,
Right.
but it adds understanding and complexity to it. And that's what I like. It's not making villains less villainous. It's adding depth and complexity to their villainy so that we can see how it arises in different places. We see that with the Seanchan. Just to make this point, they believe they're going to unite all of the Westlands so that they can fight the dark, they can fight the shadow. They are fighting for the light. And they're going to do it by making everyone swear allegiance and take certain people as slaves. And it's a very, to our mind, very strange society. So they are willing to commit what we would consider atrocious acts in the name of the greater good.
Right.
You have the Aes Sedai. Look at how the Aes Sedai use people. And again, it's they believe that they are in the right. They believe that they're gearing up for this fight against the Dark One. And they're willing to use and manipulate people to achieve those goals because it's worth the price. The means justify, or the ends justify the means. The White Cloaks believe that they are in the light and they're trying to purge the land of darkness. And we suddenly see that it's not that they are all misguided. It's they're so blinded by their goal and they don't have all of the knowledge that we have because we as viewer, just as we as reader, we have more knowledge about what's going on than any of them. We know that they've made a mistake. We know they're in the wrong. But from their point of view, they're looking at it going, but I am doing this for the right reasons. I'm doing this to protect people. And so, sometimes these tough things, these tough choices are necessary. And you can see how easily misguided and how twisted trying to do good can
Right.
become. And it is a fascinating hook. And it's something I love to see explored in narrative.
Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff. Well, you mentioned the Shanshan, and we get a little more of them and the nuance among them. And I just want to talk about Lady Suroth for a moment.
Well, are we done with Perrin and
Yes. Did you have anything further on Perrin though, and
well,
Hopper and all
again,
that? Yeah.
well, I was going to point out Perrin had a line, and in my head, I filled in the rest of the line for him. And it was very naughty of me
Uh-oh.
because it was when Perrin had separated from Elias. And again, remember, Perrin is really annoyed at Elias. Why is he annoyed? Because he's had his agency taken away. He was lied to. He's been manipulated. And when we think of
Part of it. Yeah.
a lot of the themes going on, like he said, we're going to go doing this thing. And he was led to believe that they were going to do that.
Yeah.
No, they weren't. And I think that's an important connection to a lot of the other storylines when you look at how agency is being removed from characters,
Yeah.
how
Good
they're being
call.
enslaved or captured or collared.
Good call. Yeah.
But when Perrin's walking with Hopper, he says, "What is it, boy?" Or no, he says, "What is it?" And I filled in my head, "What is it, boy? Is Timmy stuck down the well?"
Oh no.
And
Maybe.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I am sorry. But it's, "What is it, boy? Is little Timmy stuck down the well? Don't tell Paul." And I could, it popped into my head.
Poor Timmy. Yeah.
But one thing I liked in the fight with Avienda and
Uh-huh.
the White Wolves, Perrin initially steps in front of her to try and protect her. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and
She's
she's
like,
like, but she just kind of, it's like, "You have no idea who I am." And she's like, "Don't worry." Basically, it's like, "Don't worry, I'll look after you."
right.
And obviously, like she's like all of the Aiel, like she's an amazing warrior. That's the big thing from the books.
Yeah.
But Perrin picks up a hammer to fight with. No,
I
it's a
saw
big
that.
hammer in one end with a spike on the back. But
Yeah.
again, picks up a hammer. So we've seen that each time he seems to be fighting, he's not picking up a sword, he's not picking up an axe, even though there is a big axe focused on in this whole sequence,
Oh yeah. Dane's axe. Yeah.
Ian's axe. And I wasn't sure, I would have to rewatch, but I don't think that Avienda touches any of the swords.
I
Even though
think
she
she
uses different makeshift weapons and throws things at people and is, but I don't think she picks up any of the swords,
which would be appropriate if you're a book reader. Yeah.
which I
Interesting.
thought was a nice touch.
I also one last yeah, I'm glad you brought us back to the Perrin thread because I did like the moment toward the end when Avienda had Dane on the ground and was about to dispatch him, and Perrin says, "Don't," and we get a lot. I think of that was a I think well done scene, a moment, especially for Perrin's development. That's still Perrin being kind of a big lovable softy there, but also, hey, he gave you water, let's be human here. Let's not just, we've won, let's get the heck out of here. So I thought that was an interesting moment. Maybe
Did you
not the
notice that?
smartest move, but it's a big contrast to, I don't know, Lanfear, for example, or even Moraine, who is a bit ruthless and killing anything that could result in somebody chasing them. But we'll talk about her later.
But there were a couple of little minor things in the Perrin thing that I think stood out. One is Dane spots the ring, says that's two rivers. So now Dane knows where Perrin is from, which
Yep.
obviously, if you're a book reader, you know why that's important.
Yep.
But while it was a nice way to do that, at the same time, that everyone seems to know what produce comes out of the two rivers.
Yeah, their clothes and their whatever. Yeah, yeah.
But it's a balance thing. Like, do we like the nod, or do we think, well, it's slightly too contrived? Again, it's a line in the sand for all of us.
Yeah.
But when Perrin was sitting down and the questioner, the Inquisitor, was coming by, a dog ran out to warn him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you go, oh, again, it's what is it, Lassie? Oh, I have to go now. The bad man's coming. But the last thing was in the conversation that Perrin had with Dane, and he warns Perrin about not letting the Aiel out of the cage because the last person who tried that or touched the cage got their arm broken and nearly ripped off. And then we see the Inquisitor arrive with his arm in a sling. And you go, ooh, Was it him? Again, a couple of really nice touches in that whole sequence that just are joining up the dots between things, and they're not trying to deliberately go look at this thing. It's
Yeah.
there in the dialogue and it's there in the imagery. But at the end, when Dane is lying there, he's had his life spared by Perrin.
Hmm.
And what we know of the White Cloaks and their mentality, this might be something that causes Dane to dislike Perrin because his pride has been wounded.
Hmm.
And also he's seen Perrin with the golden eyes and therefore thinks that Perrin is a dark friend. Unlike you, of course, who are less a dark friend and more a dork friend.
Well, speaking of dark friends, I think now we can move on to Lady Suroth and the Shan-Chan, and then the more, I guess, we get a sense of the layers of the hierarchy going on here, and Lady Suroth gets her nails trimmed for her during a certain scene, and there are some meetings with Ishamael that I think are indicative of just how far he's gone in infiltrating the Shan-Chan and bringing about his master plot here to bring these kiddos from the Two Rivers into his web, so to speak. So, what'd you think of this little bit we get here?
It was odd. Like the long fingernails like really creeped me out. So I was actually quite glad they got trimmed slightly.
Well, he's still got his. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Turok.
Turok. Yeah. Okay.
But one of the things I liked in that is like Suroth comes across as arrogant and impatient and not as in control of her emotions as she should be.
Right.
And interestingly, when Turok tells her to kneel, she looks at Ishmael for direction. And of course, like
notices this. Turok, I think he's not an idiot. He notices.
Yeah. So it clearly sets up just with that one look that she's looking at him, the hierarchy. And of course, we've seen Ishmael sitting at her left hand.
And he says, meow, meow.
And in this scene, he's not wearing his sort of modern retro clothing. I don't know how we're going to describe this.
Yeah.
But he's wearing a slightly different outfit. And I thought that was nice. But that whole sequence, when she gets punished and everyone looks away and looks down, and I remember vaguely in the back of my head something about Shan-Chan culture and looking down and not meeting people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't quite remember it, but I think that was a nod to it. But I like that whole dynamic. It's setting up the fact that the Shan-Chan are antagonists. They're not necessarily simple villains. And the Shan-Chan as an empire are against the dark, and the dark has already infiltrated them, or the shadow.
Right.
Because Ishmael
and others are dark friends. Yeah.
And so we're seeing that every society, and particularly in this episode, because we find out about the threat of the Black Ajah, every society has dark friends in it. So every society, even if they're setting themselves up against the dark, is being corrupted from the inside. And of course, the idea of the male half of the power having a taint, being corrupted. Like there are a lot of these thematic connections, and like I enjoy that.
Yeah, we even hear about the Black Ajah. The one thing I wish we had been, I mean, it's just a nitpick really, but Loial through this part of the show is basically a big prop. Like I don't think he even gets to say a word. He's just sort of being dragged along. And like, look, here's Loial. So, but they can't throw everything into one, a 1 hour episode. So,
and to be perfectly honest, Suroth, obviously the big mistake she made was not putting a bow on Ingmar or Loial. That if you're giving a gift, you need a bow on it.
You need a big bow.
But Padan Fain, did you hear when Padan Fain comes with the box and the whistling started?
Yeah.
They put the whistle back in. So, and again, that's a nice little touch because that was in season 1. Like you were playing Spot Padan Fain in most of the episodes because he seemed to just crop up everywhere.
He had these little like cameos, like hello. Yeah.
So that was fun. And again, like Fain looks to Ishmael.
Email. Yeah.
Ishmael. So there's, and we saw him in the Dark Friends in the Dream World meeting at the beginning in episode 1.
Mm,
We saw Padan Fain was the one who revealed himself, and we knew he was a Dark Friend.
mm,
So again, it's confirming things from earlier and letting them develop, show that things are moving on.
yeah.
And so that sequence I liked. Do you want to move on to the sequence of Lady Sarath meeting Liandrin, or how do you want to do
Yeah,
it?
that's where I was headed next is Leandrin, because I think that's a natural segue, and then we can talk about Egwene and Nynaeve and Elaine. But first, yeah, Leandrin, and that meeting was a bit tense, I would say. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, they didn't seem to see exactly eye to eye there, did they?
Well, anyone who plays RPGs is familiar with the term rules lawyer.
Hmm.
Liandrin is an expert rules lawyer. She has been told by Ishmael, you must deliver these people to Lady Sarath. She delivers them. Once that's completed, I know, but once that's completed, she's done what she had to do.
Right.
There was nothing said, and you aren't allowed to then free them afterwards.
Yeah.
It's the whole, yep, I've ticked this thing off on my quest list. The quest is now completed. Well, now I can just go in and kill the people and loot their bodies with no repercussions.
Yeah, so she basically, I think, partly out of annoyance against Lady Sarath, but also because she's made a genuine connection with Nynaeve. And you can see that in one look she gives as she looks back. There is regret in her face. And I think it's a combination of motives. Maybe she hadn't even planned to do it, but just out of, in that moment, just went, okay, screw it, and then lets them go, giving them a tiny chance to get away, and it sort of kind of works, I guess, right? 2 of the 3 get away.
Well, and both Elaine and Egwene channel without their hands.
Yeah. Yes.
Which, again, nice touch. And I was thinking about this about Nynaeve. They've set her up, and because they keep emphasizing how powerful she is.
Right.
By having her unable to access her power, it's sort of circumventing the plot issue of, well, if she's free, she could just wipe all of these people out.
Right.
And so on the one hand, it's consistent. On the other hand, it feels kind of
a little contrived, perhaps.
A little bit contrived that, she can't channel at all. And I'm looking forward to the moment when they actually have to address the fact that she has power and can channel, but still can lose in a situation.
Well, it might have to be against one of the Forsaken in that case.
But that is one of those things that you can see why they do it, and it sits a little uneasily.
Yeah.
And it's an issue with a lot of fantasy in general, actually, where people have amazing abilities and yet, for one reason or another, can't use them in the situation when they'd be really handy to use.
I can't think of a single instance where I've read anything like that, AP.
But Liandrin, once again, brilliant, complex portrayal.
Oh, I mean, I have nothing to praise for this actor. She's done such a great job in this role. I mean, there have been some great performances, but she's still my favorite, I think.
And I do have a pet peeve. And again, this is a TV pet peeve.
Okay.
Concussions have repercussions.
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah.
This is something that TV and film do all the time. They always have people being knocked out and then just waking up. And you're like,
oh. And then they're back to normal. Yeah.
It's like, how many times are Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine going to get knocked out, or people are going to get knocked out and then wake up and it's like, I was just asleep. It's like, no, you were knocked unconscious. You're going to have a concussion. There are ramifications for this.
Sure.
But it's TV. It's TV and movie writing sometimes leans into it, and it's one of those ones you have to have willing suspension of disbelief over. Yeah. And sometimes I sort of go like, are we going to put there was a film called Not Another Teen Movie, and in it there was a running joke about one of the football players, and they actually counted the number of concussions he had, because it was once he got to a certain number, he wasn't going to be allowed to play anymore. And so each time he got knocked out, they would rack up another concussion on the counter.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, do we need to do this for this TV show that we're just going to count the number of times people get knocked?
Yeah.
But suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, we'll take that. And then, of course, Egwene gets captured and is also in need of a big bow because she gets presented as well, and is pretty eerily she has the collared quite literally. So I thought that was kind of awful, even though I kind of knew it was going to happen because I read the books, but it was just sort of like, oh, that is so uncomfortable. Yeah.
And again, they had this sort of it's both sort of mechanical and clockwork,
Yeah.
analog and magical.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it was one of those bizarre, wonderful sort of mixes because the Seanchan are so alien, and it's not like anything
Yes.
that we've seen. And then the link between that and the one controlling her, there's both the sort of the weave link, the magical link, and then we see a physical chain appearing. And I think, you know, with practical considerations of having people chained up when you're trying to do sequences, you know, people trip and fall, and health and safety would have a nightmare with it. You can understand putting in something slightly different. But again, when we see the Damane channeling, and it's the person behind them is making the same movements, we see it's reflected.
Right.
It's well done. It's a different way of doing it.
Yeah, and well, it reinforces that whole element of rigid control that is part of the way they treat their channelers as essentially weapons, as tools. They've dehumanized them, and you can see it in the very flat stares of the Damane and everything else. I mean, it's just it's very well conveyed, and I thought it was well done. And obviously, this is probably the primary reason the episode is called Damane, I would guess, this particular moment, perhaps. But yeah, I thought that this was an interesting part. Anything more on that, or do we want to move on to Elaine and Nynaeve?
Lady Suroth, the exchange she had with Ishamael in private.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
And again, I really like this because, again, she is imperious. She does have all of this power. She realizes that she commands like an army and she's important. And then Ishamael, very quietly,
Yeah,
without force, without being sinister or any threat of violence, is like, I know your promise to the dark. I know the oath that you swore.
right.
And reminds her in that single instant. And she immediately, yes, my lord, kind of,
Yeah,
she is put right back in her place. And these shifting allegiances and alliances and power dynamics. And again, when we get to the Lanfear and Ishamael dream sequence, that was brilliant. It was one of my favorite sequences in the show. But we can talk about that slightly later on.
We can do it now too if you want. I mean, or
no, it'll fit later on because
later on. Yeah, yeah. Okay, when we talk about Moiraine and Rand and all that, I think. So then Nynaeve and Elaine escape, sort of. They're in danger though, and they are discovered by a warder of a, and I can't remember.
And get knocked out again.
And they're knocked out, another concussion. Boom. For each of you. Here, you have a concussion, and you have a concussion.
Oh,
you know?
One thing we forgot to mention. Liandrin mentioned when they were in the ways that they were cut off from the power, that they were
shielded.
Yeah. Again, reinforcing shielding as a thing.
Right.
So I am more and more and more convinced, and there's a nice bit of evidence in this episode that Moiraine is shielded and not stilled.
Right. Yes, I agree.
But I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, they get knocked out again. And remember in last episode, Liandrin said about people who've been sent to investigate and there've been no word back.
There's one.
And here we see, oh yeah, there's an Aes Sedai in the city, and it's whoop,
Yellow Ajah. Yeah. So fortunately, those two do fall into the right hands after another concussion, which is not a big deal, right? I mean, and I think I don't have a ton to say about the two of them, except that it's interesting to see them. So the thing that bonds them together is Egwene, and she's missing, and now we see them trying to sort of feel each other out, and Nynaeve being Nynaeve, like, I don't have to listen to you, Miss High and Mighty, right? So
And yeah, so again, Nynaeve's stubbornness, but Elaine doing it. Well, we're going to go and do this thing, and taking charge because that's how she's been trained. And yeah, they're going to be a happy couple of people working together. Like there's not going to be any friction in that relationship.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Uh,
No egos at stake here. Yeah. So
yeah, so it's interestingly, so just on that, they get warned in that sequence. We know what the show about what the Seanchan do to women who can channel. So we get when Ishmael says, when he's allowed with Churok says, you're allowed to ask one thing. And he goes, I would like to ask basically for a gift on behalf of Lady Suroth to be accepted.
Yeah.
So he uses his boon to ostensibly elevate his patron who's just falling into disgrace. So you go, it's all politics.
Right.
So he's asked for this boon, for this gift. It cuts to that sequence where they're told, you don't, this is what the Seanchan do to women who can channel. It then jumps back to us seeing Egwene being collared.
Yeah.
So it was a really nice sequence in how that was edited together, because the warning comes just before we see it.
Yeah. Ishmael must have been thinking as he was kneeling, oh, little boy, will I have a thing or two to say to you later on? Yeah.
So I know that it's interesting how you can do different things with storytelling. And I think setting up, because that could easily have been Lady Suroth has a gift for you, and then Egwene comes forward. Like, you didn't have to have a scene in between, but by putting that scene in between,
yeah,
we are thinking of this. We know that Egwene been captured. Right. We're thinking about it, and it actually, for those few moments, it starts building the suspense, building the horror, so that when we see it, it actually has a bigger impact. Even though we knew that's what was going to happen. Like, we get, well, actually, book readers knew what was going to happen. Viewers mightn't have known what was going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one of those things that I like. I like to see. That's good writing. That's good scene construction.
Yeah, yeah. So shall we leave Falme behind now and discuss Rand and Moiraine and Lanfear, who kind of steals the show in a way?
Well, do you want to end on that? And first we'll talk about Verin and the Browns.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Verin. I love Verin.
And it was another
great performance, by the way. I think she's doing a fantastic job. And finding out about poor the Mistress of Novices there. What's her name? Being so yeah, Sheriam. And we find out about compulsion in this episode. Yeah.
And that it's dropped the word compulsion and the concept of compulsion again dropped a couple of times. Yeah. But the thing was, when Verin did this, the first thing I thought of was Miss Marple Investigates.
Yeah, okay, I see that. Yeah, yeah.
CSI Tar Valon.
I mean, she's doing the part really well, right? Like the double entendre and the just very almost like you couldn't possibly object to her investigation because she's presenting it in such a mild light, and I was just wondering about these two new novices,
and presented as gossip and I'm just going to catch up, and I've heard the rumors, and of course, like I said last week, if we had been Aes Sedai, we would have been Browns, because it's I would have loved to have come and visit, only I was busy reading.
But watch out for the Browns, man, because they can find out stuff. Right? I mean, the one with the Scottish accent, she's got the perfect memory, and she says she gets the clue. Oh, her handwriting was way off. Oh, compulsion.
And they mentioned the Black Aja.
Yeah.
And
Black Aja is brought up. So dark friends everywhere. Yep. So
compulsion, dark friends, and Black Aja all mentioned in that one little tiny sequence. Yep. Now, Sheriam, I don't know. I can't remember the rules for compulsion. But when Verin initially asks Sheriam about the novices, Sheriam replies, and I actually wrote this down, they are likely busy doing their chores. Now, if she knows that they have left, she knows they are not likely to be doing their chores. That's a lie.
Or
That is a flat out lie.
there are gaps in her memory. Like she honestly, like she it's an honest answer in the moment. And then she kind of like, oh wait, no, I think I know where they are. Here we are, you know. She's
But
confused.
but because it's been brought up that the the dark friend Aes Sedai, the Black Aja,
Right.
can lie, I am now trying to work out how many lies have been told, because that
Uh-huh.
one stuck out to my in my mind. Because even if she,
But if she doesn't think it's a lie, is it a lie? That's the
and
question.
that's what I can't remember. That's what I can't remember.
Right.
So, because later on, when Leandrin is talking to Varen, and again, the personality shifts of, because Leandrin suddenly is all sweetness and light, and oh, look, white asparagus. The persimmons are in season. Um, but
Like that's very convincing evidence that you haven't been up to no good. Oh yes. Okay.
because that's the sort of thing, like if a defendant ever went, oh, but I happen to have this one thing that could only have gotten from there, isn't that a little contrived? Like that seems,
A bit.
you just so happen to have absolutely perfect evidence that couldn't be gainsaid in any way, that you just so happen to bring in for no apparent reason. Right. The, the
Look, Andy,
abundance.
I carry white asparagus with me everywhere I go, just in case.
It's that's I've brought the evidence of my alibi with me. You're like, but how did you know that you needed evidence for your alibi? It, that's the thing that always sticks out in my mind. But
Right.
when Varen talks to Leandrin, she says about the two novices. Leandrin replies, but Nynaeve is already an accepted. And then Varen says, but they're not here. And she goes, oh, novices, the novices. And she refers to the novices, plural.
Ooh.
Varen said nothing about Elaine. It
Hey.
would be a novice and an accepted.
Good catch. Yeah.
Is it a good catch, or is it,
Just
well, she's
bad writing.
novices can't leave the town? But
Wow.
she just said that Nynaeve was an accepted.
And the whole thing obviously was so rehearsed because she was like, oh no, they were sent to this place where there was a raid. Oh no, I hope they aren't hurt or anything.
We better hurry up and go and tell the
Right.
and later in our morality play.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think that was Varen obviously did not believe a bit of it. So
Well, yeah, and then we get again. I know this is a typical TV thing that I don't necessarily mind, but it's the cat like it's
Leandrin leaves.
as
Yeah.
Leander leaves, the camera waits, looks at Varen, and we get. Did you see the look on her face? She's acting for the camera here. It's
Yeah.
very clear, just to emphasize that point that she doesn't believe a single word that Leandro said. So it's
Right.
letting the viewer in on what Varen is thinking without having Varen go, well, I just don't believe a word that she said, into an empty corridor.
Right.
Visual storytelling.
Yeah. I mean, it worked. It worked. So cool.
Uh,
Anything else in the tower we should be sure to mention?
um, I don't. There were a couple of name drops about various things, but I think the big ones were the Black Aja and Compulsion. Because again, that's the second time the Compulsion comes up, because Ishmael and Ishmael and Lanfear talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. So good. All right, and I have to say I'm enjoying the actor's performance who's playing Varen. That's a fun secondary character that I'm enjoying.
So do you want to talk about Moiraine and Rand now?
Let's do it. I think it's time to talk about Moiraine and Rand, and we will have to, I think, segue into Lanfear as well, who is a show stealer this time, I think, in many ways. We get full on Lanfear in this one. But first, poor Moiraine and Rand are running for their lives and trying very hard not to feel sleepy. No naps for you, Rand.
No power napping. I will say one thing that Moiraine does when they're running along, that and they get to the stable, that I thought was actually incredibly clever. There are 4 horses. We're only going to take 3. Why not take the 4th one on a lead behind you? because you need to leave a clue for the person chasing you that you're on horses. But you don't want to leave a horse behind. So she kills the horse. It gets left behind as a clue.
That was chess right
So
there.
when Lanfear arrives, she sees the dead horse and says, "Oh, you killed the other horse, so I couldn't follow." Very, very clever. She's now absolutely sold on the idea they're escaping by horse.
Yeah.
Um, and so when she, in a fit of pique, blows the guy's head up.
Oh my God. She's just like, you know, like this poor dude was just being nice and boom, you know.
Advanced Dr. Pimple Popper.
Oh, geez. Oh.
And so she takes the horse and again drops a brilliant line about complaining, is there anything slower than horses? Season 1, we saw that the Age of Legends was like a vastly technologically superior and magical and advanced world. So of course she's complaining about this. Go, well, if she's capable and knows all of these things, why doesn't she do it? And you go, because she has to track where they're going. If they're going by horse, it's not like she could, like even if she can magically teleport, where is she going to teleport to? She needs to try and follow where they are going to find out. Yeah. So all of that sequence was so well done in setting her up to follow the horses. And it was all because Moiraine went, kill the horse, that leaves the clue, we leg it.
I mean, Moiraine was thinking several steps in advance, and Lanfear remarks when she catches up to the stable lady, I'm surprised Moiraine would be that ruthless. And I kind of was too, because basically this poor lady is bait. And we've seen already, Moiraine knows that Lanfear is just like needlessly cruel. So,
okay, let me ask you a question.
All right.
What did Moiraine tell her to do?
Ride like hell for Tar Valon.
And don't stop.
And she stopped.
And what did she do? She stopped. So, is this
because she was concerned for the horses?
She was concerned for the horses because it's not good for the horses to just run like this. So I stopped.
Right.
Whose decision is that?
Still, okay, I get your point, and it's valid, but she's still bait. I mean, yes, Moiraine wanted her to reach Tar Valon.
And if she'd kept going, she would have been fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's like, I don't know, sending a 5-year-old out on a dangerous errand and saying, well, if you make it there, it's okay.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Was never going to catch up if the woman hadn't stopped.
It was being chased by bloody Lanfear there. I mean, that's a dangerous little thing to do, isn't it?
Lanfear, if she'd read, if the stable master had ridden all the way to Tar Valon, she'd have crossed the gates, presented her evidence, and been taken inside. And Lanfear would have reined up and gone, "Coises, foiled again."
But she's still bait.
Yeah, she's bait, but
yeah.
She was given the opportunity to save herself, and she didn't.
Well, she'll never speak about it again.
Did you see Lanfear whipping the horse
with this like fire whip? Yeah, that was awesome.
Her casual use of power is actually just really nice. She just casually does it. It's not any of this, I have to concentrate and do my, it's like, no, I need this thing, and just to do this thing. She does it automatically.
Also, huge shout out. I mean, there are so many great Lanfear moments in this episode. Huge shout out for when she's got her throat slit and she's stabbed, and when she can finally just draw any breath at all, the first thing she does is bitch. that was great.
Fantastic.
That was fantastic.
And do you notice when it cut back to her, she threw on the coat, and then it cuts away. But when it cuts back, she has that, here's the doorway framing the shot as she strides out. And it was one of those, yes, we filmed this for the trailer. Like, this is a cinematic shot. We're framing it. She's going to stride out. It's all purposeful. But you gotta, Lanfear's line was just, it was so well delivered. And it's so in character. It's not, oh, this is terrible. It's the very first thing, bitch. There's everything about her characters. Fantastic.
It was great. It was great. And I think the actor's doing a fantastic job in the role. So yeah, lots to say there, but should we switch to Moraine and Rand for a bit? Because there's some interesting dynamics going on with Moraine and her sister still, and all the stuff that goes on as they're trying to get help there. So what did you think of the interactions? And Moraine's nephew, what a lovable idiot. Poor guy.
Oh, can you tell the difference between these berries? Or the other half live.
Hey, but you weren't imitating anyone you actually like interacted with in your time at Oxford or anything there, were you?
Well, firstly, I have to say, I like the fact that they refer to lieutenant and not lieutenant.
Grates on my ears every time. Where's the F in that word? Where's the F?
Who effing cares?
All right.
But she said lieutenant, and I went, yep.
Well, she's English, right? So we'll forgive her. Yeah.
But the moment when when Moraine is asked, and who is this? And she goes to say something, stops, and then says Rand.
Right. Well, he asks first. The nephew says, "Oh, he must be your warder," right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rand says no, and Moraine says, and she stops. She can't say something,
Right.
and then says Rand. And I'm going,
yeah.
This her inability to lie.
Lie.
Because this would be another. That's why I said earlier, evidence.
She was gonna say, this is Bob, right?
This is Alan, the man dragon. Junior. So I think, and again, it's because in this episode, the whole concept of not being able to lie or being able to lie, kind of was in the back of my head.
That would suck though if your power's taken away, but you still can't lie. It's like you're missing the good parts, but you still got the bad part, right?
Because her power hasn't been taken away. Right. That's why I think this. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out, and it's one of those fascinating things. So again, it's a way to stop Moraine with her power just going around solving things with magic.
Yeah,
It's a way to limit powerful characters.
Or we get to really, I think, sound the depth of her character in the process. So that's cool.
Yeah. And I liked the exchange because then, Anvere, her sister,
yeah.
When she looks around, and goes, "We've met," and Moraine again, Rosamund Pike has that. How have you met? You can see the reaction. I thought that was quite cute, but again, I liked the reversal of the roles. Her little sister took on advice that Moraine had given her when she was younger.
That was a great moment.
Reminds Moraine of it.
Yeah,
and you can see this.
Is it true? Is it true? Right. That's
so again, it's moving backwards. But remember, Moraine still had in her head, she's my little sister. And now she's confronted with the fact, no, my sister is a powerful grown woman in her own right.
Yeah.
She has this experience. She has things that I can learn from. And I think it was a very humbling moment for Moraine.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully will build to Moraine realizing she needs to trust people more.
Yeah. Although we haven't actually seen that this plan B is going to work out very well, because at the very end of the episode, there's Rand like, wake me up, so I don't know if this is going to be the best plan, but
and she's willing to use Rand as bait.
And then we cut to Moraine snoozing. Yeah. I don't know.
Again, think of why. And again, this was another line that I liked, where she said that all of the histories that spoke about Lanfear, there's not a huge amount, but all of them agreed that she loved the dragon.
Yes. That she loved, obsessy kind of love, right?
And you can see Moraine putting it together now that she has the additional information that Lanfear had been with Rand for months and wasn't trying to kill Rand, had every opportunity to kill Rand.
Right.
And you can see her working out. She knows that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. Therefore, she knows that Rand has the soul of the man that she loved and obsessed over.
Who's there? Who we met in the first season, right? Yeah.
And you can see Moiraine working all of this out, going, it's probably going to be safe for Rand to be the bait because Lanfear won't risk permanently hurting him.
Yeah, I know, but that's kind of a cold calc. That's like sending a little kid off to the store across a very dangerous street right there, you know. Yeah, you'll make it. Go on, you know.
No, it's not the same.
Bait. Bait.
Yes, bait, but bait where there's, a slim percentage chance that the bait will live. It's like going great white hunting in the ocean where, I would tie a big hook to your back and throw you into the water and go, just swim for a bit. And then when the shark comes near you, throw the hook at it, and then I'll pull you up out of the water. There's a chance you'll live.
Well, this is where I think Moraine's character is in line with the Moiraine of the books, and in many ways reminds me of like sort of a Gandalf, Dumbledore type figure who's throwing the mentee, the young person they're meant to be teaching, into the deep water and says, "Okay, swim." So yeah.
And Gandalf trusted Frodo with the ring, even though he wasn't happy about the decision. If there'd been an easier path, Gandalf would have taken that. I think Moiraine is faced with a tough choice, and this way she's going, actually, there's a strong chance not only that Rand will survive this, but he'll get us information that will help us win.
Yeah, it's not starting out too well there, but okay.
Well, we could get to that when we finish up talking about Lanfear.
But very dramatic scene that I think it was cool. I actually like that ending. But anyway, other stuff first. So
yeah, so like all of the others, I like that development of character. I like that Moiraine just doesn't know the answers. Right. It emphasizes that subjective position that in this moment, oh, I've gotten new information. I've put it together with information I've already known. We see her working that out. And it's this constant, and it's a slight change to the tone and style of the books, because in a lot of the books, because something was known, then everyone just knew it. Right. Whereas here we're seeing it's leaning more into being aware of subjectivity and limitation in terms of knowledge.
Right.
And I enjoy that. I said that last time as well. And I thought this was a good example of it, where we see her work out. That is Lanfear's motivation.
All while she's very vulnerable and still cut off from her power, which I think is making for a compelling thread in the show. So I'm enjoying it a lot. But I will say Lanfear really stole this episode, in my opinion. There's just so many great little Lanfear moments. But you enjoyed the performance as well, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
The actor playing Lanfear, she is brilliant. To go from, someone so charming as Selene,
and kind of serene as well. Yeah.
To the casual brutality of just killing the man without a second thought and not even worrying about it to get on the horse.
I mean, he's going to need some aspirin after that.
To the vicious cruelty of what she does to the stable master.
Yeah.
To the playful cruelty of what she does in Ishamael's dream.
Oh, we haven't talked about that yet. Yeah.
And that's what I think we're moving. The range of all of these different things, and you can see they all fit her perfectly, and yet they're very radically different. Her anger, her rage, her cruelty, but her playfulness and her fun, and truly and also batshit crazy insane. Like that's there as well.
That's coming across really well. Also, in that scene where she enters Ishamael's dreams, you get a real sense right away for the rivalry that exists between the Forsaken. Like, these guys aren't all chums here. They are working for Shaitan and all that, but they're jockeying constantly. And, so I thought that was really well done there.
Are you going to betray me? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I
And
loved his speech too in that moment. His speech about, well, the reason I'm in charge among the Forsaken is I'm the only one who really believes that we can end the suffering if we just destroy everything, you know? And it's like, whoa, there's a kind of weird, twisted logic to this guy. And I find this portrayal really compelling. Yeah.
and again, it's that courage of his convictions.
Yeah.
And he's not doing it, oh, I'm going to be evil. Like
Right.
he's doing it for reasons. He believes in those reasons, and that makes him fascinating. He is fascinating evil.
Yeah. He's actually, in a way, more interesting than Lanfear. I mean, I love the spectacle of her, but he's kind of like, oh, okay, huh.
And well, actually, like I find them both compelling in
Oh,
complete.
they're amazing. Yeah. This is
Um,
cool.
and that sequence where she has invaded his dream. So he sees Rand asleep, and then he smiles, leans in closer,
Be kissy, you know. Yeah.
no, but he leans in closer, knowing it's Lanfear.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you see, because he kind of looks, and then he smiles and leans in
Right.
and goes to stroke the face, and it's Lanfear is revealed. It's just like,
Just like,
oh,
how did you know? Yeah.
like, and it again because he'd been invading the boys' dreams in season 1,
Right. He's practiced. Yeah.
so he's pretty good at this as well. And
Right.
then when they're talking, he conjures an image of Rand in the bed for Lanfear
Yeah.
because he knows that's who she wants.
Right. 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 Right.
So that byplay between the two of them, it was a really arresting scene. Like it was just brilliant watching the two of them. And also, Lanfear does not respect the other Forsaken.
No, no, you get that very clearly. Yeah, and they mention a couple of them. Grendel's a nut job, and you know all this and that, and so yeah, that was good. And the boys are all a bunch of idiots, you know. So I thought that was brilliant. Yeah,
And so she's very casually dismissive of the other Forsaken.
right.
And then we get Ishmael making his judgments about the Emmons Fielders
Mm,
because he says, one fears power, one desires power. Matt was always born mine, and Perrin is soon going to be more wolf than man.
yeah,
Those are his judgments.
yeah,
Uh, just like Lanfear was talking about the other Forsaken, that
yeah,
these are not objective facts. This is what they feel. These are their plans.
yeah.
And you can see how Ishmael thinks about these tools, these people to be corrupted. Because she even asks, why didn't you kill Moiraine? He's like, but a tool with more power is useful. And
Right.
when someone is broken, when someone is desperate, that's when they're willing to make a bad bargain.
Yeah.
You know all about that.
I also love the part where he asks her, "How would you compare Rand to Lews Therin?" And she gets kind of like, well, he's more innocent, you know, because you get the sense that Lews Therin was kind of arrogant, right? That he was a kind of a bit of a know-it-all, you know. So that was an interesting moment too. I thought when we're talking about the same individual, but this reincarnation of him, and she kind of likes Rand, you know. Again, that comes through even through her anger and everything else, where she's annoyed. Why didn't you kill Moiraine? Because you would have saved me a little bit of an embarrassing moment there. So
And they talk in the old tongue. They talk about the old world, and we get a sense of how advanced they are and why they are so annoyed. It's like if we were suddenly teleported from this world and you woke up in a Renaissance fair and that was the world, and you're like,
it'd
well,
be fun.
where's my smartphone? Where's my
No,
laptop?
see, AP, I can speak Old English, so I'd be all right.
Oh, look, where's my dysentery?
I've had dysentery before. It's all right. Been there, done that.
Oh, you moved to Oregon then.
Oh,
The Oregon Trail. You have died of dysentery. But
yeah.
in that sequence, again, very compelling. Lots of what we would call lore and aspects of it revealed in this very natural conversation.
Yeah.
And you can see they are rivals. They both serve the Dark One.
Right.
They both serve as Forsaken. They don't have the same reasons for doing it. they are allies, but it's because some of their interests overlap,
Right.
not because they are working for the same goal. And that I thought came across so well, and how they know each other. They've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And Ishmael respects Lanfear to some degree, but at the same time is absolutely confident in his ability as the main, the primary, the most powerful.
Yeah.
And again, we see that dichotomy of he might be the most powerful, but she might be the most dangerous. That when someone
Yeah.
all's fair in love and war, and if there's anything that Lanfear is involved in, it's mistaking lust and control for love.
Maybe. Speaking of which, we get that, unless there's anything else you wanted to mention beforehand, but there's that final scene where poor Rand he's the guinea pig here, and he wakes up, he's in his dream, and he's on a crucifix. Like he's being crucified, and there you can tell Lanfear's a little annoyed with him, I think, by that kind of setup that she's got there.
Well, I don't think she's annoyed. She is very smugly satisfied that he fell asleep and
Finally.
got
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
But what I liked about one of the things we've talked about before in other discussions is fantasy's ability to literalize the metaphor.
Mm.
And obviously, the dream world, we see this happening. Rand is strapped to the will. He is a prisoner of the will. We see
Yeah.
because Ishmael wants to break the will.
Mm. Good stuff.
Rand feels like he's been imprisoned by this. That's what Lanfear just creates. And
Mm.
then she's sitting there in this statement outfit, shall we say, on a
Statement.
throne.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Um, but on her throne, and she's like, "You're now my plaything. You're my prisoner. We're gonna have a talk, young man."
Yeah.
Because mommy's a little annoyed that
Get out that flame whip that she was using earlier, I'm pretty sure.
your former floozy came in and hurt me. We're gonna have a talk.
Right. Yeah.
And just ending on that quirk of a smile that she has.
Yeah.
That it's like a cat staring at a mouse.
Yeah. A mouse that's been tied to a giant wheel.
Would that not be a hamster?
That would probably be more like a hamster. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. There were some great connections to season one and things that happened in season one. There were great connections between different scenes.
Mm.
And this is the most, I think, integrated of all of them, because I had tried to make a couple of notes the way that we normally do about various people's storylines. It's usually we're going to go through, and they kept moving in and out of other threads.
Yeah.
So there's far more interweaving in this, where it's Lanfear chasing Moiraine and Rand, Lanfear with Ishmael, Lanfear in different things.
Right.
Then we had Rand and Moiraine doing their thing, but we had Verin moving into Liandrin's storyline, Liandrin moving into Sarath's storyline, Sarath moving into Ishmael's storyline. This movement and joining together of all of the different aspects. Yeah. And in that way, this was the most cohesive and integrated, I think, of all the episodes thus far. It really did blend a lot of the threads together. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did too. Pacing, cohesiveness. I think everything was really well done with this episode, and some really iconic moments where they just kind of went for it a bit there, and I think it worked for me anyway. So yeah.
And you could see them really leaning into that, the idea of prisoners, or having your agency taken away, or having other people control you, compulsion being brought up. That there were a lot of the different threads are about control of other people.
Yeah.
And people being made victims of other people's control. Like a lot of that was going on.
This gets to the nature of, I guess, evil in a way. Even people like the White Cloaks want to control everyone and make them think the way they think. And I think that's and they don't think they're evil either, by the way. And neither does someone like Ishmael necessarily. That's coming across really consistently. So that element of control, definitely, and how it relates to how we experience evil, is something that they're exploring. And it definitely, I think this is a theme that the books are, it is true to the books in that sense, in that is exploring this theme, which is very prominent in the books. And some really crucial moments later on in the books that I can think of, but I won't say because it would be spoilery. But there are huge scenes where someone is controlling someone else. And those are pivotal scenes in the character arcs. So yeah, good stuff. I think we both enjoyed this a lot. Like, it's seemingly a lot of other people who are sticking with the show. So yeah, good stuff. But let's hope they can keep this momentum with the final 4 episodes. No, 3, 4,
3,
6, 7, 8, 3. Let me get my fingers out. 6, 7, 8, 3. Final 3 episodes. So for next one, everyone, the discussion of episode 6 will be on AP's channel, A Critical Dragon, because I'm handling the odd ones and he is hosting the even ones. And I hope we will all see you over there at A Critical Dragon. Thank you very much, my friend, AP. This was a joy, as always. And
thank you very much, Philip. And I'm sorry I rambled on so much.
oh no, I'm used to it. So, and I think the viewers might enjoy a few of your rambles here and there. So, as I certainly do. Everybody, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.